Hello and welcome to Everyone Dies, the podcast where we talk about serious illness, dying, death, and bereavement. I'm Marianne Matzo, a nurse practitioner, and I use my experience from working as a nurse for 47 years to help answer your questions about what happens at the end of life.
And I'm Charlie Navarrete, an actor in New York City, and here to offer an every-person viewpoint to our podcast. We're both here because we believe that the more you know, the better prepared you are to make difficult decisions before a crisis hits. Also, this podcast does not provide medical nor legal advice. Please listen to the complete disclosure at the end of the recording.
Welcome to this week's show. We're so glad that you are joining Charlie and me for the next hour as we talk about being ghosted by friends and family after a cancer diagnosis. This podcast is a combination of education and entertainment, otherwise known as edutainment, delivered in 3 halves. Our main topic is in the second half, so you can fast forward to that chin-wag free zone if you'd like. In the first half, Charlie has a piece about civil disobedience and our recipe of the week. In the second half, I'm going to be talking about cancer ghosting, which is when people whom you thought would support you disappear after you've been diagnosed with cancer. In the third half, Charlie has a poem written by Margaret Mead. So Charlie, I heard a joke the other day. You want to hear it?
Yes, please.
So this old man was sitting alone in his house watching TV and enjoying a cold beer. A few minutes later, the police arrived with a picture of his wife and said, "Is this your wife, sir?" He answered, "Yes," shocked. They said, "Oh, I'm afraid it looks like she's been hit by a bus." He said, "I know, but she has a lovely personality."
That's good. Gosh, I heard that years ago. That's very funny.
Yeah, I think some of the older ones can be, those little treasures you pop out for people every now and then.
Absolutely. And it just also depends on the delivery. And that was a good delivery, yes. For our first half, Everyone Dies travels to Delaware, which was a key location in the Underground Railroad, with many safe houses and routes helping enslaved people escape to freedom. Delaware's position as a border state placed it directly in the lines of transit that escaped slaves could use when fleeing the South for the northern United States and Canada. In the period before the Civil War, the Underground Railroad operated as a series of safe houses from which sympathetic Northerners and members of the free African American community provided refuge, shelter, and support for escaped slaves. It was called the Underground Railroad because railroad terminology was used to describe its functions. Routes were referred to as lines, stopping places were stations, and the people aiding the escaped slaves were conductors. Those who aided escaped slaves did so in defiance of the Fugitive Slave Act, which permitted authorities to cross state lines in pursuit of escaped slaves and handed down civil and criminal penalties to anyone who aided escaped slaves. Despite the risks and challenges, the Underground Railroad played a pivotal role in shaping the history of Delaware and the broader struggle for emancipation in the United States. Delaware's dessert is the Shoofly pie, a molasses-based pie that reflects Pennsylvania Dutch influences. The name comes from the flies that had to be shooed away while the sugary pie cooled by the window. It's a classic dessert often enjoyed during gatherings and has become a staple in Delaware folklore, which makes it a shoo-in for your next funeral lunch. Bon appetit! Please go to our webpage for this week's recipe for Shoofly pie and additional resources for this program. Everyone Dies is offered at no cost, but is not free to produce. Can we count on you to contribute? Your tax-deductible gift will go directly to supporting our nonprofit journalism so that we can remain accessible to everyone. You can also donate at www.everyonedies.org or at our site on Patreon under Everyone Dies. Marianne?
Thanks, Charlie. You would think when someone receives a cancer diagnosis that their family and friends would rally around them and support them through the cancer treatment. But that's not always the case. So I've had a variety of patients over the years at the Cancer Center who would come in and tell me these stories. Like I had a woman whose husband, when she came home after being diagnosed with cancer, packed his stuff and said, "I didn't sign up for cancer," and left. And another husband who packed up her clothes and left them on the front porch for her to collect because he didn't want to deal with the diagnosis. Or the wife who came with her husband for a symptom management visit on his last day of chemo and said right in front of him that she had only promised to stay until he finished chemo, and now that he was done, she was going to file for divorce. I'm not sure I would believe this sort of thing happened if I didn't witness it with my patients. This behavior is called cancer ghosting, and it's more common than you think. Cancer ghosting can be defined as friends, family members, colleagues, or spouses who behave like a ghost and fade away, often without a discussion, after you've been diagnosed with cancer. People who've had this happen often say that ghosting was one of the most painful parts of their cancer experience. An informal poll conducted by the War on Cancer found that 65% of respondents reported cancer ghosting from their friends or relatives after they were diagnosed with cancer. 3/4 of respondents to a March 2024 breastcancer.org poll said that they had experienced a withdrawal from family or friends since their diagnosis. People living with cancer reporting feeling unprepared for how the disease and people's reaction to it altered their relationships, undermined their self-worth, left them feeling incredibly alone, and that the problem was unique to them. Cancer ghosting may be connected to cancer stigma or to a reflection of society's discomfort in dealing with hard topics. Regardless, the experience takes an emotional toll on people who are already likely feeling overwhelmed with anxiety about their diagnosis and treatment. Now, the ghosting may not occur immediately. For most people, cancer is now a chronic disease, and supporting someone through the cancer survivorship can last decades. People can seem to tire of being supportive over a long period of time. Now that you know that cancer ghosting exists, what can you do to stay present with someone living with cancer? Well, reach out to them, even if you don't know what to say. You can send a text that says, "I'm thinking of you," or "Are you okay?" You can send a card by snail mail. Imagine writing things down and taking it to the post office. Talking is the most important thing you can do for someone you know with cancer. Reassure them, take them out for coffee, go for a walk, help distract them. I've had a few of my friends diagnosed with cancer, and one of them, I would send little gifts to them. One of my friends liked linen handkerchiefs, and I'd always look for them and send them to her with a card. We have a podcast about grief groceries, which talks about picking up food when you're doing your own shopping and dropping it off at their house. Really, what's more supportive than finding a package of Oreos in your mailbox? If you've ghosted someone, it's not too late to mend the relationship. It's okay to say you're sorry and ask for forgiveness. If you've been ghosted, you can reach out to the person, but if they don't respond, try not to dwell on the loss. Let it go. Make a list of what and who matters most to you and use that list to focus on moving forward. It's better for your mental health to focus on the people who have stayed with you. Also, don't blame yourself. You didn't do anything wrong. This is their issue, and it's for them to work out. A really good thing to do is join a support group. Wherever you're getting your cancer treatment may have groups or Google support groups in your area. Truthfully, no one is going to understand what you're going through better than people who are going through it themselves. Natasha Carlson of Cure magazine wrote, quote, "Lesson number 8 on my list of life lessons that cancer taught me is Invest your time and emotional bandwidth in people who will show up for you, no matter what. Make new friends. Form a new support group. You do not need the drama of having friends who will decide to excuse themselves from your life when things get challenging. If you find that this happens, even though it is so painful, let them go. You deserve support from people who will go above and beyond to be with you and whatever you need. Have you ever heard of cancer ghosting, Charlie?
No, not at all. I've heard of ghosting. No, no. What I have heard, and I've had discussions with people, is usually it's with older people where they have one person has said to the other as the relationship was getting going and moving forward, that basically, one of the people had been involved or had been married or whatever for a long period of time, now was single and enjoying their freedom. And they made it clear to their new partner they did not want to have to take care of someone. And they made that clear at the beginning of their relationships. There was a big article about that in I don't know, the Times or the New Yorker, I forget, a couple of years ago. I on one hand, I found that, well, if you're in a committed relationship, why would you not help? But then on the other hand, yeah, I understood it. If you've been in a relationship for a long time, it didn't work out, you're older now, you finally found freedom, and you just stand on your own 2 feet. Yeah, I got to tell you, if it made sense that at the beginning of a relationship, as long as you put all your cards out on the table and made it clear, if you start to get sick, I'm not going to be there for you. But that's not the same as ghosting.
No.
But this,
Mm-mm.
I'm sorry, I can't imagine, in the middle of of being sick, that the person you count on just disappears.
Mm-hmm. Did you experience any cancer, or not cancer ghosting? Did you experience any ghosting after Michael was killed and you were
Oh, no,
grieving?
no, not at all.
No, nobody? Oh, well,
No,
that's
no.
great. Because some people, that happens to people too, is that, it's like it's too pain, your pain or that
Yeah.
experience is too painful to, I don't even want to look at him because I'm thinking about how horrible that is. So I just won't.
Yeah, and people wanted to come. It was during COVID. It was loosening up, but it was still COVID, and people were very nice and wanted to come over. And I said no. I need this time alone, and all but one person understood that. And a couple times, people, like what you were saying, brought food or a nice bottle of gin over, and just basically left it on the doorstep, rang the doorbell, and left. Yeah, it was nice. It was I really appreciated. Um, so wow, I just can't. If someone, I'm just still stunned by this. If you're not going to be there for someone, and it's sick, it's cancerous. I mean, whatever the ailment is, I I'm I don't know what to say, Marianne. I can't imagine just walking out and just ghosting someone. If you're going to,
Well, and then
if that's,
imagine the person that's being
oh
ghosted.
yeah,
It's like,
no,
your
that's what I
childhood
mean.
friend who
what I'm
won't talk
thinking
to
of.
you.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. It may not be nice, but at least have the courtesy to say, look, I can't go through this illness with you. And yeah, why add to the patient's woes? Ugh.
Yeah. And the sad thing is
Mhm.
people think, oh, it's because of me. And
Right.
what
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want our listeners to know is it's not about you.
Yeah.
It's like you didn't say, oh, I'll have, the fried rice and a side of cancer. I mean, you didn't pick it.
Right.
So, if somebody ghosts you, it's not about you. And, instead of carrying that burden, and it's hard to let it go, but that's why I say support groups are great, because if you go into a support group of whatever, either cancer survivors or people in treatment or your specific kind of cancer support group, they know and they can help you and they can support you.
Yeah.
Better than anybody. Better than anybody.
I agree with you. Yeah, I don't know. This thought in my mind that somebody would walk out on you while you're sick, while you're recovering, and have not said a word.
Mm.
Oh well. Next, in our third half, Remember Me by Margaret Mead. To the living, I am gone. To the sorrowful, I will never return. To the angry, I was cheated. But to the happy, I am at peace. And to the faithful, I have never left. I cannot be seen, but I can be heard. So as you stand upon a shore, gazing at a beautiful sea, remember me. As you look in awe at a mighty forest and its grand majesty, remember me. As you look upon a flower and admire its simplicity, remember me. Remember me in your heart, your thoughts, your memories of the times we loved, the times we cried, the times we fought, and the times we laughed. For if you always think of me, I will never be gone.
It's true. They say that you only really die when the last person who knew you forgets you.
Yes. Yeah. That's crazy. You have a lifetime of experiences, and maybe huge experiences, and others not so many. But yeah, when that last person goes, you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Been happening for thousands of years, over to millions of people. And this ends another episode of Everyone Dies. Please stay tuned, and thank you for listening. This is Charlie Navarrete, and from poet Langston Hughes, life is for the living, death is for the dead. Let life be like music, and death a note unsaid.
I like that. And I'm Marianne Matzo, and we'll see you next week. Remember, every day is a gift.
This podcast does not provide medical advice. All discussion on this podcast, such as treatments, dosages, outcomes, charts, patient profiles, advice, messages, and any other discussion are for informational purposes only and are not a substitute for professional medical advice or treatment. Always seek the advice of your primary care practitioner or other qualified health providers with any questions that you may have regarding your health. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard from this podcast. If you think you may have a medical emergency, call your doctor or 911 immediately. Everyone Dies does not recommend or endorse any specific tests, practitioners, products, procedures, opinions, or other information that may be mentioned in this podcast. Reliance on any information provided in this podcast by persons appearing on this podcast at the invitation of Everyone Dies or by other members is solely at your own risk.